Hello, fellow traders. TheRumpledOne coming to you on Monday, June the 2nd. The year's 2025. Let's talk trading. It's time for the weekly open and gap and the monthly open. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. And let's start the month off the right way. Let's make sure we have our risk management in place so we don't lose any more than we're willing to lose on any one single trade or during any one single session. So, it's the monthly open, and we are 91 pips above the monthly open. We're almost 3 pips off the high and 103 off the low. And notice we are in the upper wick zone of the previous month. So since the month and the week started on the same day, we have the same distance from the open, the high, and the low. And notice we have some pairs that have not filled the gap, and they are yen pairs. Canadian yen, euro yen, and dollar yen. So something to keep your eye out for. We're putting in the monthly opening range and the weekly opening range right now. And right now, that range is about 106 pips, it looks like. For the year, we are 1,043 pips above the yearly open, 41 off the yearly high, and 1,452 off the yearly low. We had an inside bar 7 days ago, and we are 114 pips above that inside bar high. Notice we had a lot of monthly inside bar action. We've got a lot of weekly, and we got about a handful or so of daily inside bars. So if there's any inside bar traders out there, let me know how you're doing. 106 pip range right now, high to low on the daily. And the dollar yen's leading it with 145 daily range. Looks like we're trying to make a new high here. Notice we crossed that weekly open to the upside, hit the buy zone a couple times, and price is just taken off. Red rats, get ready to feast. Find yourself a nice trigger in the red rat zone. And let's see what happens. Like we're making a new high here. Notice we went through the launch pad, and usually goes 40 to 60. 65 is usually a stopping point. Looking at this H4 candle, this one just started about a little over an hour and a half ago. We're at R3. Bambino Flex said to go short near the pivot, and it doesn't. I can't tell from this chart. Let's see. We might have to drop down. see what kind of pivot, what the price did around that pivot. I'm not sure why the computer here. Here we go. So we had the pivot. It called for a short. It looks like it could have made a couple of pips off of that. Not much. But we're at R3, so these are levels. You start to look for shorts. And I think we've got the Fed chair supposed to speak in a few hours, so that should make things very interesting. So we did take out today's pivot. We've taken out the weekly pivot. And the monthly pivot sits down at 133.96. So we're 160 some pips away. And let's see, we took out, actually it looks like we opened on the H4 pivot. So I don't see any missed H4 pivots, except for way down here. It happened right here. So I don't see any pivot plays off of H4. We started out in the lower wick zone, went to the upper, back out, up and through. For the week, 108 pips. That's 0 percentile, but it's only the first day. Let's take a look at the monthly. So far, we've got an inside bar on the month. Put it back to the week. We're in that upper wick zone on the week once again. Let's see, open minus low for weekly crossover traders, 12 pips, and high minus open, 95. You would have had to, I think you would have had to be playing the Asian session to take advantage of that. Price action. Okay, we're in the upper wick zone of that previous M30. You can see here the past, it looks like, yeah, the past 10 M30s have all been above 10 pips. So money to be made. See, we had a higher slow trigger here. Be up 3, now 4 pips. Had you taken that, I can expand that. So right there, highest low trade, you can see, gave you a couple of opportunities to get in. simple flip-flop box trades with my moving average difference. I need to change that to difference because it's not really the slope. That's a totally different calculation. Actually, when I started it, I was thinking about using the slope, but then I decided, no, I want to use the distance from the MA. Because you can see whether or not it's moving away or towards the moving average. In this case, the EMA 5. And actually, I should probably label that EMA 5 now that I think about it. Just like I have up here. And you can see here, we're putting in a range. There. Usually when I'm looking at ranges, I like to box in around the open and close, and then see and let the wicks stick through. Some people like to do it off the high and the low. Flip-flop box trade there, strong move. Okay, so range right now is at 106. Let's take a look at year-to-date accumulated range. We haven't pushed it yet. Let's look at the close minus open percent, 8.36. Not a bad return on your money. Let's see, what is the ATR for June? 442. So we've got a ways to go. So take a look at the trade reminder for the month here. Price inside the upper wick zone. Buyer strong control at the moment. We're above the previous mid and the pivot. We want to look for a fade to pivot sell to get down to that 133.96 on the monthly. That'll be interesting. Well, on that H4, that missed pivot on H4, that number sounds familiar, 133.60. So that would be interesting if it takes those out. Okay, we've got a new 15-minute candle here. You can see starting to head back down for the week. Inside the upper wick zone, buyer strong control, crossed above the previous mid, crossed above the pivot, lower high, higher low, inside bar at the moment. And down to the daily. We're above the upper wick zone. Previous range has been exceeded by 44.7 pips. Buyer strong control.